Oh, look at that. 20 seconds to go. Should I wait? Or should I flip the camera now? Now let's just flip it now. Yay! Hello. Is it working? It's all working. Hello, everybody. Or anybody. I'm doing another episode. Today is January 30th, 2022. And this is all the news at ohmTown.com. What is ohmTown? ohmTown is a news aggregator. Grabs a couple hundred news sources, sorts them into 6 categories: create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology. Technology is the big one. Me personally, I am Mayor Watt. I'm the mayor of ohmTown, and my primary thing that I do, my daily duties, is merging business, technology, and society together. And that's what I study. That's what I talk about. And that's what I do here on Twitch. And I don't do a deep dive. I don't even review the news. At least not until afterward or during. If you are also interested, pardon me, my nose itched. If you are also motivated to chat with me, feel free to throw something in chat. In fact, when I'm gone and you throw something in chat, I still receive it because my chat is always open. And then we can talk about it right here, right now. If, again, you are also motivated to do that. Just feel free. Okay. So with that in mind, this is how it works. I've pre-selected a bunch of articles that I have thought were interesting based primarily on my understanding of what has been happening and the article's title, the lead. So I scan the news throughout the day, grab some headlines, and then I go over them pretty quickly. We got about 15 to 20 each episode. And then if there's something that needs to do, or I need to do some due diligence and talk about it on the next episode, I take a note of it, and then we come back and talk about it. So let's get started. That way, maybe we can hit 1 hour dead on. There's a lot of tangents that I take. It's called associative thinking. If you're not familiar with it, watch. Basically what happens is you can start talking about something like this first link, right? Howard Hessman, star of Wkrp in Cincinnati, dies at 81. If you click the link, it'll take you to this group. Oh, not to this one. Sorry. So it'll take you to a group. It'll take you to the Daily News Show, which essentially is this show. And you get to see a small snippet of it. And then you go off to that site, you read the site, you come back and you talk to me about it. It may not happen in this episode. You may wander off and never come back, or you may wander off and come back to me tomorrow. Or you may stay and watch this from beginning to end. But I may take some tangents while I'm talking about it, giving context to that particular bit of news, or maybe make it more relatable because you watched Wkrp in Cincinnati and, because this person has passed away and you didn't know about it, right? We do a small chat because I used to watch Wkrp. And there are a couple of really fun episodes that I still remember. And anyway, we'll get to that because actually that is one of the headlines that I grabbed simply because I've been looking for a show from what amounts to 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, depending on when you started watching it. And, it was a fun show. One of the, at least for me, one of the early sitcoms that I thought was enjoyable. Well, anyway, so this first article, which is actually housed in Smack Talk, which is a a group about Apple and its competitors, the relationship between those competitors and Apple, and not necessarily about the competitors. It's all pretty much about Apple. Apple Watch wallet sync issues found following watchOS 8.4 and iOS 15.3 update. So a small number of users have been having problems with Apple Wallet. Recently, maybe about 4 days ago, I was actually streaming when pretty much every Apple device that I have disconnected from iCloud. Not everybody had it, but there were several hundred, close to 1,000 reports on a couple of the websites that I monitor that were reporting more than 1,000. But at any rate, if you were to combine it, it would be a large enough sum of people to draw attention to it. Over time, most of my applications managed to reconnect. When infrastructure changes, naturally there are problems, and you kind of have to hang out and wait and see if everything falls back into line. But more than one person was panicked that their accounts were being hacked. For me, it caught my attention because I'm not one to just let it idle. And so up until yesterday, I've had a couple of devices that still failed to sync properly. And it has maybe something to do with this or nothing to do with this. But whenever infrastructure changes or an update takes place, be prepared for what could be all hell breaking loose. And this is an Apple Insider article. One of the best things about the Apple Watch is that I don't need a card. I can actually attach it to my watch. I don't need to bring my phone with me. I don't need to bring a wallet with me. Each code is one off. So even if somebody does manage to skim that number somehow, it would still only be a one-time use and it wouldn't work again. One second. I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. So, this is a great device, and I would love to have everything on this. And if Apple ever gets its stuff together and publicly announces, even, I would love a hint that there are AR glasses. I would love to get rid of my phone. I would rather have a pair of glasses on. I'm already forced to wear them, so I might as well get prescription AR glasses that throw all of my information up there, and then I can use them and my watch. And I'd pay for cell service. My watch already is cell service, so I would love to get rid of my phone. But maybe that's in a decade or two. Who knows? But ending up paying $2,000+ for a pair of glasses that also acts as monitors is something that I would be more than willing to accept if it gets rid of my phone on top of it. Pretty neat tech. Anyway, go and check it out. Hopefully you didn't have any problems, but at least now if you are having problems with it, that's why. I also saw this sitting in my group called Stock Marketeers. It is, each one of these that you see is basically a group, and the headlines are a discussion board within that group. And the aggregator places it there based on certain things. In this case, I thought it was interesting that the stock market has been rather rocky. And I thought it was interesting that what amounts to a bourbon ad is in my stock market aggregation site. And what's interesting about it is that it is selling for 3 times the suggested retail price. And it's Wild Turkey Master's Keep, which on the face of it already has an odd, I'd have to do some due diligence on why it's named that way, but gotcha. So when things go into demand, high demand, it is not unheard of for bottles to disappear off the shelves. At one point, I think Angel's Envy was doing that too. It was hard to come by. I don't think it's like that anymore. I haven't bought a bottle of Angel's Envy for a while. But some people really love Wild Turkey. So getting something that is perhaps a higher quality. I haven't had this before, so I have no idea what it is, but I thought it was an interesting title to be sitting on my stock market site. So brand officials say Wild Turkey enjoyed at least a 26% annual gain through the middle of 2021. I guess a lot of people started taking up drinking over the COVID break, I guess you could call it. But when you don't have to drive and you're sitting at home all the time, I can see why people would pick up drinking. You've got more free time because you're not spending 4 hours in traffic, perhaps longer, perhaps shorter. But when you can roll out of bed and start either streaming or having your meetings via Zoom, life gets a lot better for those who don't tend to run out to bars to enjoy the night. So you got a lot more free time. So what do you think of that? No comments, no concerns? I'll keep on rolling. So this next article is FCC announces $1.2 billion fund for broadband deployment in rural areas. You may not be in a rural area, but one of the problems with rural living is that you don't have broadband, even if you wanted it. And that's usually the least of any concern for somebody that lives out in a rural area, because they live there because that's what they want. They don't want all of the high tech and the noise and the bother associated with higher density, higher occupancy living. They enjoy fresh air as long as it's not downwind from various processes, I guess you could say. And they like the wide open areas. So trying to get broadband into the area has always been a problem because the density isn't there to attract technology providers, right? They have to run more cable further, and it's really a kind of a technology sink, right? You just throw the tech out there and there isn't a lot. It's expensive to run cable. It's expensive to run repeaters and power to power everything that needs to send a signal down the line. And no signal lasts forever. So you always have to amp up a signal periodically. Fiber optic or not, things still need to be in the ground and on top of it and maintained. So 1.2 billion, I don't think is going to go very far, but it's the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund to expand it across 32 states. Now we've done this before with fiber optics in the 2000s. So you visit the site, it's The Verge, and they go into greater detail. And this is an article by Emma Roth. And back a couple of decades ago, we actually longer than that now. And time flies. A lot of taxpayer dollars went into an infrastructure plan that was designed to install fiber in the ground. It used to be referred to dark fiber. Now dark fiber pretty much refers to fiber optics that can be leased, and it's all owned by somebody, by some company, and they can turn it on and turn it off and route traffic through it for X number of dollars, and that's kind of how it works. And so here we are doing it again, and not necessarily to the people who really want it. So something we'll end up monitoring, I'm sure. Under the next article is the word in tech. This article is titled, "How Mighty Will Amazon Be After the Pandemic?" This is an article that's over on The Guardian. If you click the link, you'll be able to read more about it. This week's results may presage a future of choosier shoppers, resurgent competitors, and tougher regulation. Yeah, I don't know about this. Amazon is just massive to begin with. It's opened its doors quite a bit to foreign competition. And by that, I mean, there are a lot of foreign businesses that are fulfilling the sales of products, but they're never domestic companies. They start out foreign companies. They sell the item domestically. They ship it domestically, seemingly at a loss. I mean, it's amazing how inexpensive it is for some of these companies to ship things. But once you find out where it's coming from and what it is, you realize that there is a lot of competition on Amazon, and a product that you buy isn't necessarily being sold by who you think it's being sold by. So if you buy something like a Hue light bulb, it's not necessarily being sold by Hue, if you know what I mean. It's being sold by a vendor that you have no idea is the vendor, until after, at least based on my interaction. If somebody knows different about it, then feel free to let me know. Happy to discuss it more. Not everybody knows everything, but my interaction has led me to believe that you just don't know who it is that's, although it's being sold by Amazon and it's quote unquote being fulfilled by Amazon, the company that put that product in the Amazon warehouse is not necessarily who you think is the seller. It is not Amazon, and it is not the name brand that you are buying from. It's hopefully the actual product and not a knockoff that's been cloned or something else, an inferior product. Because sometimes we're going to end up going down a rabbit hole that I'm not overly prepared to go down, but you're not always getting what you think you are getting. And it becomes a thing. So with COVID changing the way that we shop, the way that we even sell, the way that we interact, Amazon will continue to be just massive. It's got so much momentum that there is no competitor that will be able to compete unless Amazon completely falls apart. And I don't see that happening. So there's too much money floating around. So this is an article by Sarah Butler over on The Guardian. You can go over there and read the rest of the article. But my perception is Amazon will remain mighty. I don't know about choosier shoppers. It will just be more shoppers, which would naturally have a percentage of choosy shoppers. And the more there are that are shopping, the more there will be choosier shoppers. Same thing with competitors. Not even close will there be a competitor. Internally, within a sector, right? So if you're selling light bulbs, you're going to have more competitors on a bigger, faster, more efficient Amazon. It's kind of like listing something on eBay, except that you don't really know who it is that's fulfilling it. Yeah, through Amazon. So at any rate, there's a whole lot more to this, but let's see if we can keep on moving. A couple of days ago, I think it was, I talked about North Korea launching a couple of missiles, just kind of lobbing them out there as a test. And North Korea fired at least one suspected ballistic missile into the sea. So this article is over at ABC News. North Korea has fired what appears to be the most powerful missile it has tested since President Joe Biden took office. Yeah, that's an interesting designation of time, start and stop, but North Korea will continue to test its weapon systems. And for the most part, it's not something that anybody else really, we can all say no to it, but it's a sovereign nation. So if they need to test something and it's not being lobbed into Japan, they're going to end up doing it. That said, there's a lot of other issues involved with this, not just the test, but the simple fact that that's where all of the money is being spent. So we'll see what happens with this. I tend to scroll through this. If you are interested in seeing something in particular, then let me know in chat, and I'm happy to pause this scroll. But my objective really is to send you from here over to ABC News and then go back to ohmTown and make a comment and vote it up or vote it down. Come and chat with me during the 1 hour chat every day at 6 o'clock. I may be expanding it. It really depends on how much engagement takes place over the coming months here on Twitch. This next article is over on Mobile. Again, it is more a general news show at this point. It has not spun up yet. I'm looking for a host or a co-host. That would be great. Being a co-host is a whole lot easier than running the show altogether. And so I would throw you up there, right up above in that black space up there. You'll have your own cam, and we'll stick you up there and we can have a conversation about the news like this. It's just a game, or is it? This article is over at the New York Times. In 7 Games, A Human History, Oliver Roeder presents a study of checkers, backgammon, chess, Go, poker, Scrabble, and bridge, and asks why we play. So again, I have not clicked the link. So the news is limited on ohmTown, and the expectation is that you go and you read it all. And so Oliver Roeder writes about these 7 games, and in the grand scheme of things, Go has been described as being the most complex. It's easy to learn the basics, but it's difficult to be competitive in it. So artificial intelligence programs, machine learning programs kind of cut their teeth on chess. Checkers was first, then chess, and now Go. And now it's competing with masters level competitors in Go. Poker is pretty straightforward. Scrabble is the same way. Haven't seen a machine learning or artificial intelligence program for bridge or backgammon. I don't think backgammon. I know that actually that's not true. Backgammon, yes, but not bridge. But Go is now the, pardon the pun, go-to for machine learning and AI training algorithms because it's so complex in the number of options that you have available to you. So, very fascinating technology. Pardon me 1 second. One of these days, I will stop having these little coughs while I'm talking. But it normally starts happening about 30 minutes into the show. So nothing's wrong. It's just scratchy throat. Not used to talking. Well, that's not true. I mean, I talk all the time, but anyway. Apparently, I'm not used to talking for hours in this seat. I don't know. Just the air seems dry. But enough of that. I have to cut all of this out when I edit this. At any rate, so go read that article, and maybe you can tell me here in chat today or tomorrow. Is it a game? Why do we play? A lot of this is about situational awareness and competition and critical thinking. Why make that move? That kind of thing. And we perceive competition to be fun, at least up until a point. The next article is in The Word in Tech. AT&T adds $45 per month unlimited prepaid plan with 5G that you can only get at Walmart. And you click on the link, it'll take you to The Verge. The carrier is also offering several phones at a discount. One of the things that people have spoken about in the past is that if there is a deal somewhere at Walmart, the provider of that deal typically has a contract that forbids them from selling it any cheaper anywhere else. And it's basically a breach of contract if you do sell it it's the same thing somewhere else for cheaper than what you are selling it at Walmart. And there's been these discussions about it in business classes about the rather harsh contracts with Walmart. But a contract is a contract. You should know what it is when you go into it as a business owner and as a consumer. If you are attracted to Walmart's deals, good for you. But an unlimited plan with 5G from AT&T for $45. If you find that a benefit, then it's quite the deal. I pay a lot more than that for unlimited plans. I also have a lot more devices attached, but the point is, it's a better deal. So give it a shot if you are so interested. But now you know. The next article is The Word in Tech, and that's where this article is found on ohmTown, but it's aggregated from The Verge. And when you click the link, it says, Brene Brown says she won't release new episodes on her Spotify exclusive podcasts until further notice. And this comes after, and I'm almost quoting, well, I guess I'm going to end up quoting this Emma Roth article because it says, this comes after Neil Young and Joni Mitchell removed their music from the platform. And all of this has to do with the fact that people are embroiled in a kind of tit for tat with Joe Rogan's podcast. And Joe Rogan was pulled into Spotify a while back, and the podcast apparently is controversial, but it's not really controversial if you consider it just opinion, which a lot of it is just opinion. And so because of that, there's people saying one thing and other people are countering, and it's leading people, consumers basically, to sit there and watch this train wreck in slow motion with people pulling their music and now their podcasts and making statements about Joe Rogan and about other people. Just it's and this is all about COVID, by the way. This isn't about some other political thing going on, right? This is all about somebody being triggered by COVID policy, regulations, vaccine, etc. And there's no evidence about the vaccine being bad for you or being ineffective. It is, along with wearing a mask and distancing, the thing that has stopped this virus in its tracks. So this is just one person's alternative fact-based science discussion, and it's not. There is no alternative facts. There are just facts. Anyway, you're not missing out by anybody pulling their stuff, because they will put it back. They will put their stuff available because they're not going to hinder getting the money from the people. So that's what they want. And eventually it'll all come out. It's kind of like protesting gas prices. We'll all end up having to pay for gas. And you will spend, nearly the same, and it's not a big deal to the producers. They'll make their money at Spotify. Neil Young will make their money. Joni Mitchell will make their money. Brene Brown will make their money. Joe Rogan will definitely make his money. Anyway, the next article is the best deals for January 30th. This comes from Apple Insider. Again, when you click the link, you'll get taken there. A little snippet on my site says up to $400 off 13-inch MacBook Pro. You're not going to get $400 off the cheap one. And $780 Echelon Smart Fitness Bike. And one of the things that has come up during the pandemic is people are buying more health and fitness equipment to place in their house since they're not going to the gym anymore. And for me, what I want is smart equipment that's communicating with my iPad and giving me telemetry, and not just that little horrible junky piece of equipment that sits on the less expensive pieces of gym equipment. And that's what I've got at home. Because to me, I want a reliable treadmill or a reliable rowing machine. And I didn't think about, the smart side of things. But if somebody could add devices to these other inexpensive pieces of equipment that get that telemetry out to me, that's a business that I would invest in. But there is no simple way of adding telemetry readers to these cheaper bikes. But the Echelon Smart Fitness Bike might be the next best thing. So let's scroll and see if we can find that bike. They mentioned it in the headline, so maybe the lead is not too buried. Oh yeah, it is. Well, anyway, I'll have to take a look, and if it's worthy of bringing back to discussion here, I'll bring it back. And if you're in chat and you want to go and look at it and come back and tell me, I'm sure it's all over the internet. It's the Echelon. Let me scroll up real fast. Sorry. The Echelon Smart Fitness Bike for $780. That's not bad. That is not bad. It's not a Peloton. But then again, apparently based on some dramas, you're not going to have a heart attack on the Echelon Smart Fitness Bike. That's a joke, folks. No, you're not going to. Yeah, some people might have a heart attack, but anyway, if you do it right, odds on you won't have a heart attack. You got to train your body so that you can handle that stress. You can't just get out there and, do an ultra marathon or a ultra Ironman. I think it's like 100 miles, something like that, which is crazy. And somebody did something like that, like 10 in a day or something, or not a day, 10 in 10 days. I think it was pretty wild. Anyway, there are deals out there. Go look for them and you'll find links to them over on appleinsider.com. And I don't have a relationship with these websites that I talk about, by the way. All I'm doing is aggregating news so that I could consume it, and then I'm talking about it here in chat. And if you have questions or comments, again, throw them into chat. I might even be willing to throw you into my stream right now. If you want to come onto the air, I can set up a Zoom meeting if you're interested. So this is the Daily Show. Defense contractor CEOs applaud deteriorating global security. Now, if you have never heard what would probably be defined as dystopian future marketing, this is probably it. And that's why I clicked on this link. Defense contractor CEOs applaud deteriorating global security. So shoulder mounted rocket launcher. Oh, missile launcher, excuse me. There's a difference. And there is actually. So with candor, you don't hear in official circles. Oh, this is commonly referred to as saying the quiet things out loud. And it normally shocks a more, I was going to say level-headed person, but that's not quite it. For somebody to say it out loud and then maybe lean into it. I don't know if you read the rest of this article. Lockheed CEO James, I guess it's Takelet, assured investors that the $740 billion defense budget, 12 times the budget provided by the State Department to conduct diplomacy, could continue to grow in 2023, a critical metric for weapons contractors, the ultimate recipient of nearly half of all defense spending. So yeah, domestic producers of weapons and technology, military technology, produce the goods, and then we sell them as a country to other countries. Yeah, and that's what's referred to as the military industrial complex. So if for some reason peace were to break out across the planet, you can probably guess that a large segment of Lockheed Martin would probably be bent out of shape. And Raytheon outright acknowledged that a deteriorating state of global peace and security and an increase in deadly violence are very much in the interest of their employees and investors. Sure. I guess as long as it doesn't get brought home, right? You don't want all of this. You don't want all of this deadly violence and conflict to come home. Oh, wait, you might actually not care because at least you're making money. I'm probably picking a fight here, but I guess that's how it rolls. But I thought it was an interesting article title, and it's over on Common Dreams, and it's written by Eli Clifton. So swing by and give it a look. This next article is again on Stock Marketeers. The article is sourced by MarketWatch. So if you go over to MarketWatch, you'll be able to find this. How to invest, saving for college, the pros and cons of 529s, prepaid plans, and how to decide. And when you click the link over on ohmTown, you will get taken to the site. And if you are a lot of people have no idea if they are going to end up getting married and having kids. Some are very passionate about no. But if you do and you start early, college can be a breeze in terms of paying for it. But historically, people have not planned so much as they've planned, yeah, my kid's going to college, but then the funds are another matter. And when it's starting to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to school, you do have to plan it because you may not have the money sitting there ready to go. So with 529 plans, you can invest long-term into an education savings plan so that your kids or kid can have the money sitting there waiting for the education system to drain it dry. But yeah, there you go. And there's a whole lot more about it here on the Market Watch site. Obviously, I am not your financial planner. I'm not giving you any financial advice outside of this is what you should be using to secure some, if not all, of the education finances for your kids' future. You might have a better way of doing it. Maybe you invested in Bitcoin 10 years ago, or at least 5 years ago. Yeah, not 5 days ago, because then you're losing money. Okay, so this next article is over at Mobile. It is a group on ohmTown, just so if you're not here in the intro of this, and you're watching the VOD, then you know what's going on. So Mobile is just a group, and in it, one of the discussions is sourced from NewYorkTimes.com. It's just stressful. Students feel the weight of pandemic uncertainty. The pandemic has changed children. Some can't shake the feeling of instability. Others are taking on adult responsibilities, and anxiety is all around. And yes, that has been true. That's what I have been witnessing. And not just kids, like children, but sub-college age, sub-18-year-olds are feeling it, and college age, and adults is, the whole gamut of age are feeling the impact of the pandemic. Now, that said, you don't have to feel it as if it is stressful. It is just change. And so there are things that you can do to kind of offset that. You can go for more walks. You can do more Zoom calls and interact with people if you can't go and meet them. And a lot of people engage on the internet all the time. But then when the pandemic hit, these tertiary things that were being done suddenly vanished. And so they spent more time online, yet they feel stressed about the pandemic. But that uncertainty really is not, it shouldn't be as big of a deal, but it certainly is for many people. And I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm just trying to kind of promote that you shouldn't feel stressful about these things, but everybody who is dealing with this understands exactly what you're going through. And it's different for everybody what the solution really is. Taking on adult responsibilities, basically being tasked by parents to do things, or having to be more focused than they would have normally been. For instance, kids having to do remote learning, like it says here at the very beginning of this. They have to focus more. They can't be distracted by things around them. They have to be more kept in line by parents or siblings. That can create more stress. A kid needs to be a kid. There's no socialization in person, so you don't get that type of sympathetic or empathetic interaction where people understand, they can feel each other's emotions. They can directly interact. And that's what That's what a lot of kids need. They need that human to human interaction and not have a proxy monitor between them. But a lot of the stuff that has to do with learning online is really bound by not knowing really that can be done easily, and that it can be status quo, that it can be the same for a long term, instead of, well, 1 week we might be in, next week we might be out of campus, this flip-flopping back and forth, and having to wear a mask, and then when you're not there, not having to wear a mask. This instability is still perceived. It definitely doesn't have to be that way. We have to kind of teach our kids that this change is just a part of existing and not something that is ultimately a massive disruption and isn't going to be forever. It's just another thing, another way of learning, another way of living. And in time, the vaccine and other controls will mitigate the harm of the virus. But it's probably going to be more medication, more vaccine, than just letting it die out. It will become a flu. And you'll have to keep on getting those flu shots every year. Because the coronavirus is a flu. So this pandemic will fade in time, as long as we all work together, but who knows if we'll actually have that happen. Okay, so this next article is, again, the Word in Tech. Electric car shows on show in Washington as Biden pushes for green revolution. This could be in the 4-Wheel Tech group, but this is a Guardian article. And let me click this. I should just subscribe to them. The Washington, D.C. Auto Show has been showcasing alternative fuel vehicles for 15 years, but this is the first year an entire pavilion was dedicated to electric vehicles. Yeah, this is really great. I love the idea of more chargers, more electric vehicles. They are fast off the start if the engineering allows it, right? Sometimes they throttle it so that people aren't going crazy. Just smashing the brake or smashing the gas on an electric vehicle that's silent can be startling to some people. If you've never sat next to a car that is electric and it just starts moving, it can catch you off guard. Anyway, the Lightning is a pretty neat design, massive sled for batteries. And I think that electric is the way that we are going to go, but I don't think it is ready for prime time until you have the same fueling time frame. I'll put it to you that way. The fueling time frame has to be the same as conventional fuel vehicles. Until then, you're not going to get people highly motivated to switch to electric vehicles. We really need a system where you can drive into what amounts to a gas station, a fuel system, or a refuel or recharge system, where you can drive into it. The system grabs the battery pack out and puts a new battery pack in and tests the old one and makes sure that it is up to snuff, and you quote unquote pay for your new battery, which is really nothing more than paying for the 15 amps of power or whatever you consumed between one thing and another, and you have a refueling system just like you do with conventional gas. But instead of it taking 30 minutes plus to charge your vehicle, you'll be able to swap out batteries And the infrastructure is what bears the burden of batteries that are no longer being charged in one way or the other. After a certain number of charges, certain elements of the battery fails, and instead of you driving the battery into the ground, it can be recovered by a process to save the battery from completely deep cycling out of existence. You basically, it becomes waste. But there are ways to mitigate that. So again, I don't think that electric vehicles are ready for mass prime time. A lot of people are buying them. Yes. A lot of people are sitting in charging stations for 30 minutes at a time, if not longer. And you can't charge fast at home without tweaks to your electrical grid so that you can actually charge closer towards that fast charger process. But on a conventional 110 volt system, you're not charging fast. Okay, so this next article is the one that I started with, which is the article about Wkrp in Cincinnati. So if you've never seen this show, I think that you'll get a kick out of it. I'm sure that there are episodes in it that don't age well. That's pretty typical of sitcoms in general. And in this particular case, Howard Hessman was Dr. Johnny Fever and was basically the music DJ instead of the others, which had news or some other thing, weather, etc. Let me take a drink real quick. And it was a fun show. And he just passed away. Pardon me. Man, now I forgot how to drink. Anyway, they had episodes where they didn't know that chickens couldn't really fly, and so they were lobbing them out of a helicopter, and it was kind of portrayed like the Hindenburg disaster. There was an episode where I think he was the weatherman, Les Nessman, right? Would put down tape for walls because he said that he deserves walls. There was what were they all? There's so many of them. It was basically the predecessor to news radio. And both of those shows were just a real blast to listen to watch. It was a lot of fun. But there was a lot of, well, not really. I guess it was kind of sexist in a way. Because the station manager, not the owner, but the manager was interested in this one person. And, oh no, it wasn't him. He was actually fine. What was the other person's name? Let me see. Herb Tarlick. That's it. So Herb Tarlick was interested in the receptionist, I think it was. And always just kind of, let's just say HR would have set his employment record on fire and kicked him out if it was today. Because he wasn't shy about his violations of HR policy. But at any rate, it was a great show, fun watch. Take it with a grain of salt and look it up. There's always stuff on YouTube. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. This article is actually over on Variety. And goes into greater detail, obviously. Let's see. I don't know if there's something in here that... Yeah, he was in Rockford Files and Laverne and Shirley. These are all older shows that, if you're not in your late 40s, or older, you probably wouldn't know Laverne and Shirley. Saturday Night Live has always been there, but Bob Newhart show that died out a while back. And then eventually like showing up on certain more modern shows. All of these here, Chicago Med, Mike and Molly. Mike and Molly disappeared fast. Psych was great. House is great. Boston Legal was great. And that 70s show was extremely popular. Anyway, yeah, it's it is the process of life. So I hope he's enjoying the great radio station in the sky, I guess. But that's Dr. Johnny Fever passing away. Okay, so go check out Wkrp. And again, what I'm going to end with is the thing that I ended with the last 2 days. I will probably stop as of today. But I want to continue to hype Above Snakes. So let me refresh real quick. It's currently at $31,572 of its goal of 28,977. The original actually is 26,000 euro. But with the translation, there's the exchange rate changes things. So at any rate, Above Snakes is this base building survival game that has zombies. I'm not sure of the story yet as to why there are zombies, but what I want to draw attention to is the superb graphics. I love the quality of the graphics. I love the style of play. I really like resource gathering, base building, cooperative games, but this is a one-player game. And you are in Corpse Creek, 1883. And that's where these zombies are spawning randomly. In fact, depending on where you pledge on the Kickstarter, you can have your name put on one of the tombstones throughout the game. And the magic of this game really is the playability. The playability of the game is when you walk up to the edge of one of the tiles, you get to decide what goes there. And it's really about selecting that tile to maximize your gameplay. And I think that it's a really neat system. And although it's squares, I would love for it to be hexes and them go talk to Dwarf Romantic. And I need to stop linking them two together because they are not tied together, not in any way. But I love this style of graphics and the interactivity. You chop down a tree and it can hit the fence and break the fence, and you have to craft stuff and build your house, and it's just so much fun. It just looks like so much fun. I haven't been able to play it yet, but I've seen the developer and publisher give a demonstration of it. So it's really neat. Go over to the Kickstarter.com site, and I don't have this posted on ohmTown, so you'll have to go to the Kickstarter site itself and do a search for Above Snakes, and you'll see more about what all is there. And I'm going to scroll real fast, so watch your eyes. And what I am really interested in is getting down here to this animal companion. I really want an animal companion. Spirit Shrine, sure. Mini games, sure. But I really want, and see, like, Spirit Shrines are like little mini buffs, right? That's what's going to happen with them. The mini games, I think, needs to be a multiplayer concept, but there is no multiplayer other than the fishing side of things. And then the animal companions are just an awesome idea, particularly if they're the style of the artwork that is across this game. I just love the style of the artwork. So, okay, with that, I think I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for attending another episode of ohmTown on Twitch. Be sure to stop by ohmTown.com, become a citizen, start earning ohm. That's the currency that's on the website. And I'm trying to get Twitch integrated into ohmTown. But there are some infrastructure problems that I have yet to overcome. We'll see if it happens. But either way, you'll start, once I actually have it possible to enable on Twitch, you can earn ohm on Twitch and it will translate over to your account on ohmTown seamlessly, if at all possible, seamlessly. Otherwise, we'll have to rely on the currency being on Twitch, because that's where I'm streaming. I don't post anything yet on YouTube or on Twitter. I'm really interested in having this interaction live, primarily right here on Twitch. So keep on coming back. Thank you for swinging by, and I will see you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Thank you very much.